Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done a truck ride episode and thought maybe I'd try one here and see how it goes. It is pouring down rain. And I wanted to talk about a couple of different things that I think are important. And the big theme here is that preparedness is not all about, having a food storage pantry for a year and water storage and having a shelter and oh my gosh, the EMP is coming and so prepare for Mad Max. We get a lot of that, and there's some aspect to it that we need to prepare for that, right? Definitely food storage is a big deal, but preparedness is also just being smart and common sense and logical. And last night it's been raining all night long and all morning long. And last night I was like, man, it's gonna suck in the morning, right? Getting up and it's just gonna be all wet and everything. And then I kind of remembered this summer when we went and if you listen to the podcast, you would remember when we went, like, I think it was like 60 days or something even longer than that without any kind of rain. And we were thinking, people were like, their plants were dying and everything was dying and we were in a drought and all that good stuff. So a little grateful that it's raining, and we got to remember sometimes those days and not have such a short memory span. But the aspect of preparedness that is just really logical is you should have some really good wiper blades on your vehicle. If it's been a long time since you have switched out your wiper blades, do it. I mean, there's no reason why you should be driving around in rain and then get into an accident because you didn't have some good wiper blades or they failed on you or whatever. I mean, I've had that happen to me before. Where I was driving an older van. It was an older church van. We were coming back from camp, taking the kids to camp, and we had a little bit of rain, and one of my windshield wipers failed, right? And they just kind of just deteriorated. It was so old. No one really was doing the upkeep on that one, and probably my fault. I should have been doing the upkeep on that one. It was way before thinking about preparedness, but really it was just, like I said, common sense and good safety. So we pulled in to have lunch somewhere, and while everybody was having lunch, I went over to like an auto play store and got some windshield wipers, put them on, and man, I am so lucky and grateful that I was able to put those on, because we got down the road probably about 20 minutes later and it came down. Like, you could not see the road coming down. And I would have had a whole van full of kids, and it would have been really scary, and it would have been really stupid of me to not have those windshield wipers on or those new blades on. So do that. The other thing is, get some good tires. If you haven't looked at your tires lately, if you haven't been doing maintenance on that, rotating them and all that, you need to go ahead and do that. I mean, when you're in a lot of rain, especially if it's slick and you don't have good tires on, you can get into some serious situations, right? I'll tell you this, and again, this is when my wife and I were barely married. We were married not even a whole year, maybe a year. We didn't have any money, nothing like that at all. I was driving a vehicle. I was working on the Houston Ship Channel as a liquid petroleum gas surveyor, and there was a job that I would do going down to Louisiana, Geismar, Louisiana, every week. Basically, it was a 24-hour job. You go down there, you're checking oxygen levels in the tanks, you're maintaining the nitrogen and making sure that everything is good, and then you're coming back all in a 24-hour time period. Or I'm headed and I'm going down Louisiana, and that big stretch between, I think it's Lafayette and Baton Rouge, if I'm not mistaken, it's just, you're basically on a long bridge, right? And well, I'm sorry, it didn't happen there. I've had some other issues there, but I was on a situation where I think it was right before that, and I started hydroplaning, and I was in the fast lane, and I started hydroplaning, and I could not, the car was going all by itself. It was going over to the right lane, and I was freaking out. I slowed down. I started tapping on my brakes just very lightly. I knew that I wasn't, I was smart enough not to jerk the wheel or anything like that. But the other side of that would have been an embankment. If I would have gone, I would have fallen down into an embankment. And so, man, it just makes sense. It's common sense to have some good tires on. The other thing is have a good umbrella in your vehicle. I'm kind of crazy about this. I have a really big umbrella in the back, and you can't see it, but it's just right there in the back. It's inconvenient when people ride with me, but that's kind of, you know, a few and far between times. But I have one of those there. I also have one in my backpack that I carry all the time. It's a gray one. It matches my backpack, and I actually got it from a vendor during a conference. If you ever go to conferences, take some time to stop by the vendors that you usually work with. Spend some time with them on the vendor floor, and they might give you some really good stuff. So anyway, it's not even like a foot long. It's probably about 8 inches, 10 inches, and it's not going to save me in a big rainstorm if the rain's coming in sideways or whatever. But it's going to keep me from not getting wet. And just recently, the other day, I had to use it, and so I was grateful to have that. So have some have some umbrellas. I have a couple of ones on the side here that just you acquire over throughout the years, and I have some on the side of my door panels. If for whatever reason I forget it, or somebody's with me and they don't have an umbrella, I can let them borrow one, and good stuff from there. Another thing is a rain jacket, and I usually have a rain jacket. It's hanging up in the back, and I've talked about that one before, but it is I think I got it like at Sam's for $5. It's probably one of the best buys I've ever made. It's warm, but it also has the hoodie and the whole deal, and it keeps the rain off of you. And there's been times where I've used that before where the rain was just really bad, and in an umbrella I was still going to get soaked. And so you might want to get one of those and you kind of just leave it in your vehicle. Theoretically, I could fold it up and put it underneath my seat in the back, and then just turn around and grab it if I needed to, but I just keep it there, and it just sits kind of there. Right now it's on the floor. It fell down, so I need to pick it up. It got a little dirty and I need to clean it off, but it's there. And you might, if you are maybe looking at something like a poncho, you can get ponchos that could double as a shelter. Like you can put up a lean-to, or it can be a ground cloth. You have those ponchos there. So if you want to get something like a double duty, maybe you do spend some time in the traveling and you hit more like the woods and things like that, you can get a poncho that is big enough that would cover you if you needed it, and maybe even cover you if you had a backpack. But you could also use it to create a quick little shelter if you needed to. And there's plenty of videos online. A lot of people do that. Dave Canterbury does a lot of those types of videos, and finding really good ponchos there. But just remember, preparedness is not about all the sexy stuff that you always hear about, all the bug out bags and stuff. A lot of it is just common sense, and we need to make sure that that is part of it. I think a lot of people shy away from being prepared because they see the extremes that are out there, and those extremes are helpful. I mean, you can learn a lot from those different kinds of things, but we also need to make sure that we are being very practical and very logical, and realizing that preparedness is common sense. All right, so that's it for this truck ride. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this one, and hopefully the rain and the wiper blades going back and forth weren't too much for you. We'll catch you on the next one. God bless you. Peace.